that they can rig elections with voting machines, fractional magic, dead people voting, all kinds of dirty tricks that the Democrats can use. And most recently, also voter intimidation. And we'll get into that in a second. But first, what I have here is basically about the last 10 election results in the state of Alabama. Now, why did I go back and get these numbers? Because what I found was a distinct anomaly between the last 10 elections in Alabama and the one last night. Now, of course, Roy Moore has not conceded yet. I'm not sure exactly what he plans on doing as far as whether he's going to concede and he just hasn't yet, or if he's going to challenge the results. We've got the stories here where, well, I'll get to that in a second. But first, let me just go over these numbers for you. Let's start with the 2016 presidential election, where Donald Trump received 1,318,000 votes in Alabama compared to 730,000 for Hillary Clinton. Now, last night, Roy Moore got 650,000 votes. That is half. That is a 50% voter turnout decline for the Republicans, where you had a 95%, I think the exact percentage was like 92 or something, turnout for Democrats that turned out for Hillary Clinton. For a candidate, in my eyes, Doug Jones, who was very weak. Okay, so again, this is just an anomaly. How do you explain that? Is that the Republicans burning themselves with the Mitch McConnells throwing Roy Moore under the bus? Is that the voter intimidation tactics used by the Democrats that stopped people from voting? Or do we just have a straight up stolen election here? Again, I'm just looking at these numbers and asking questions. How does Hillary Clinton vote? How did the Democrat Party get a 92% voter turnout since the presidential election and Republicans get a 50% turnout? It just doesn't seem right to me. So we can go on. And guys, if you actually want to pull these up, it's actually quicker on Wikipedia because what they have is the dates, the years located with links, so you can click through it. Just a FYI for y'all, because I know you guys are trying to work hard to get these images up. So here was the 2012 presidential election. How many voters turned out for Republicans? 1,255,000. How many for Democrats? 797,000. So again, that you could say that's fair. That rings harmoniously with the results from 2016. You had 2,123,000 voters in 2016 for president, 2,074,000 voters in 2012. Okay, that pretty much lines up. That makes sense. We can go back before that. How many people voted for John McCain? 1,266,000. How many for Obama? 813,000. Total votes, again, right there, 2,099,000. Let's call it an even 2.1 million. Okay, everything's jiving. Everything's jiving here. Let's go back again. Presidential election, 2004. Still jiving, a little less voter turnout there, but the Alabama, I think the population has increased, but regardless, it's still jiving. George Bush, 1,176,000. John Kerry, 693,000. Total voter turnout, about 1.9 million. All right, all of these things seem to be jiving here. Everything's jiving. All the numbers add up in the last 4 presidential elections. Actually 5, counting the most recent. All right, so let's look at some of the results from the senatorial elections. Jeff Sessions in the primary, in his last primary, got 199,000 votes, and the total turnout, 216,000 people. Why do I pull that up? Because that's Republicans outshowing Democrats in the primaries. So you had the primaries go down, and what happens? Republicans show up more than Democrats. And then what happens in the final figures? And this jives with the presidential results. Jeff Sessions gets 1.3 million votes. Vivian Figueres, if I'm saying that right, gets 750,000 votes. That jives. That jives right with the same numbers we saw in the 2016 election. Total votes, just over 2 million. Jives with all the data we've had. I'm going to start to race through this because I'm running out of time. 2002 Senate election. Sessions, again, dominates this election. A lot less turnout. It was going back and doing some of this research. People did not turn out to vote as much, especially when Sessions was the incumbent, because it was just assumed he would win. They eventually they quit running against him. But the numbers still jive up. Republicans turn out more than Democrats. It's been going on for a while. In fact, the last time the Democrats turned out Republicans in Alabama, Robert Byrd was the head majority leader of the Senate. How do you like that? Okay, so again, the time before that, Jeff Sessions was running. He barely, it was a thinner margin there. This is when you're starting to get back and you can have some thinner margins. But the numbers still pretty much jive up as far as the Democrat turnout is concerned. And what happened was Sessions essentially re-energized or even created, you could make the argument, a Republican base, a Republican stronghold in Alabama as you saw the voters continue to go up. So again, here's the primary results from this year. Over 400,000 people, almost 500,000, that's 500,000 people turning out for Republicans. 500,000 people turned out in the Republican primaries. How many people turned out for Democrat primaries? 165,000. 165,000. So, what happened last night? Let's look at the numbers. Total votes, 1.3 million. That's down. That's down from the previous 10 elections that we just went over. In fact, almost down 1 million. But let's just be safe and say it's down 500,000. Okay, so what's up with that? Why are the voter turnouts down 500,000 voters in Alabama last night? How is it that Democrat votes pretty much jive with the past 10 elections? 671,000 votes pretty much jives with the Democrat turnout from every other election over the last 10, 15 years. Makes sense. But then it seems 500,000 people that normally show up to vote Republican in Alabama didn't show up last night. And there's your missing 500,000. Gone. Magically. Disappeared. So, what I just showed you is undeniable. Those are the official numbers. And what you think is to cause and to blame, what you think is the cause of that, what do you think is to blame to that, is up to you.